Limitless Wrestling fans. Jon Alba here with Randy Carver on another edition of the Limitless Wrestling Podcast. And boy, did a funny thing happen on the way to the forum or something? I think a few things have gone down in the last week and a half, huh?
Yeah, it has been a pretty busy week and a half in the world of Limitless Wrestling.
You know, we went out of our way to record new elements for that Vacationland Cup podcast a couple weeks ago. And we went through all these different precautions, okay, it looks like everything's good to go, this is what it's going to look like, all this stuff. And then Brad Hollister goes down day before.
Yeah, it was the whole cup, the week leading up to the Vacationland Cup, and we talked about it a little bit, but probably one of the most stressful weeks in the history of Limitless Wrestling, just because there was so much shit going on, it felt like. But yeah, Brad Hollister, very unfortunate injury. For those who don't know, we talked about it on all social medias a little bit. But an unfortunate knee injury he suffered at Beyond Wrestling Uncharted Territory on the Wednesday before the Cup, and that took him out of the Vacationland Cup, obviously.
Blew out his knee, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's unfortunately going to take him out of action for quite some time. I don't think there's an actual diagnosis yet. He had a follow-up the week after the Vacationland Cup because it was so swollen at the time when he injured it. They couldn't really give a definitive answer. So I think now we're at the point of waiting to see if it's going to be surgery or if it's going to be, something that is able to be rehabbed and recovered. But I think within a week or two, we'll probably have a better idea of the time frame that he's going to be out. But it's not, not great. It's never a good thing when anybody gets injured, especially Brad, who had a lot of big things coming up. He was supposed to compete at Ring of Honor's Mass Hysteria in Massachusetts. So it's a big bummer for him, but we all know, Brad Hollister's a workhorse. He's going to come back better than ever, and I'm already excited to see what we can do with him when he gets back in Limitless Wrestling. But that was a big bummer because I think a lot of people were looking forward to Brad and Ace Romero, and I think a lot of people had Brad defeating Ace Romero, which was a surprise because I feel like Brad came into this tournament as a dark horse, as we talked about. But we had DL Hurst, who really stepped up and took an opportunity and, with about a day and a half's notice, was ready to wrestle Ace Romero in the Vacationland Cup. And he absolutely showed out, and had I think his best performance in a Limitless Wrestling ring, in my opinion.
Well, we'll talk about all that in a little bit, but our wishes are with Brad Hollister. Hope he gets well soon. And as Randy said, you bet your ass he'll be back in a Limitless Wrestling ring down the line. So, looking forward to that. That was number 17 on the list of big things to come out of the past couple weeks in Limitless, though, that change. Because there's something enormous. It probably took a lot of people by surprise. You and I had talked about Limitless running a big venue for the past couple months and how you were planning things out, and I hinted on this podcast a few weeks ago. I know something that you don't know, and that, because I have to be obnoxious, that that something was going down. You were putting the finishing touches, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and Limitless Wrestling is now set to run the Portland Expo. Jesus. I mean, when you hear it, Randy, when you hear someone else say it, is it just disbelief? Is it confidence? How do you feel?
It's just pretty cool all around. The Portland Expo has been something that we've been trying to get into for quite some time, at least over the past 4 or 5 months. And we luckily we did that piece with 207 that aired a couple months ago, and that was kind of the icing on the cake for the Portland Expo to kind of, I don't know, get a real visual or get a real sight of what Limitless Wrestling presents. And they actually hit us up a couple days after that aired and said, "Hey, we know you've inquired in the past, but we're absolutely ready to figure something out with you. We'd love to schedule a meeting," which was awesome because usually it is me, sending that initial message or whatever to any venues and usually not getting a response. So to have something like this happen was great because, we've been trying with a lot of the bigger venues in the greater Portland area, the State Theater, Aura, and we've had meetings with a couple of them too, but just unfortunately, when we're looking for pretty specific dates for independent wrestling, because we're at that level where we're booking a lot of guys who are maybe contracted or maybe have bigger obligations or anything of that nature. So we do have to kind of work our way around people's schedules. And luckily, this just matched up, and honestly was not something that I thought was going to come to fruition for September, because there is a situation there right now with asylum seekers. Who are, there's over 50 families in there right now, but we did get confirmation from the city that that is going to be resolved by August 15th. And our contract was set after that, which that's essentially why there were a lot of people asking why we didn't make the announcement at the Vacationland Cup. That is why, because we did not have, pen to paper, a contract, anything of that nature, because we honestly did not know.
Folks, in pro wrestling, you don't make anything official until those T's are crossed and those I's are dotted.
No, absolutely. And that's just, I didn't want to put it out there and then have, something come up and we've oversold tickets where we can only get the Portland club. Because to answer a lot of people's questions as well, the Westbrook Armory is not available for rental right now. They had a military or some kind of building closed where it was a building of storage that they had to, they either closed or it was torn down, something of that nature. So until November, at least, the Westbrook Armory is unavailable for rentals because it's being used for storage. So that is why we have not been able to get the Westbrook Armory for the past couple months.
Well, there will be a November show, correct?
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying there won't be there might be an October show. I'm feeling frisky, John. I don't know. But we've been looking around at a lot of different venues just around the Portland area and surrounding areas to kind of branch out and just see what's out there for new venues, because I really want to find what's going to be the most comfortable venue for us to run more often, because I don't know, maybe I do want to run Limitless Wrestling a little more often. So we've been really, and myself, Danger Kid, Alexander Lee, and a couple of other people who really help out behind the scenes have been really, just grinding over the past couple months to find some good and just comfortable venues for pro wrestling. So definitely stay tuned on that front.
The question's going to become, how many people are you shooting for?
I mean,
let's
want to fill
that
the building
baby
out.
Let's fill that baby.
Yeah. I mean, the goal is to sell it out, but
look, Randy, here's the bottom line. This is the biggest pro wrestling show in the state of Maine in decades.
Yeah, this could be the biggest independent pro wrestling show in the state of Maine's history. But it's, obviously we want to sell that thing out. I don't, as of the time of recording, I don't have a set number of what our capacity is going to be. I think within the next 2 or 3 days after this is released, we're going to release the full ticket details with a floor plan, and that will give us a better gauge of where we're going to be at for capacity wise. But I think that we're going to be able to fit like nearly 2,000 people in there if we sell the tickets for it. So we're going to be working hard to do so. But it's just crazy to think, this is another big step. We've had a couple big steps in the history of Limitless Wrestling. This is obviously the biggest one we've ever taken. So I truly hope that the support is there.
Yeah, I was, and like I said, I've kind of known about this for a while now, but it still shocked me to actually see it come to fruition. Like, I guess we could tell people this, like, I was talking with Harry Aaron, who, for those of you who don't know, does most of Limitless's video and photography work. And he's in the middle of putting together that movie project that we discussed a few months ago. And I went back and tried to scavenge up some footage for it, which you have seen, that I shot back in 2015 of you ring announcing at an IWE event. And it is insane to me that guy that I met that night, who was 17, 18 years old, something like that. I don't even know if you were 18 yet. That you've been able to create this. And you have to take a little credit here, Randy. And I mean it. This is incredible. It's incredible. It is the biggest show in the state of Maine in the last 20 years minimum, if not, as you said, ever. So it's got to feel special, man. It's got to feel special.
It does. And there's a lot of people to thank for the hard work that they've put in.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Danger Kid, Aggro, Alexander Lee, help a ton. And then, it's every single wrestler who has come through Limitless Wrestling and put on a good show and literally killed themselves to, put on a show that's worthy of fans continuously spending their money and coming back and believing in this brand and believing in what we present as pro wrestling. And just guys like Anthony Greene and Ace Romero. And I could go on and on. Everybody knows the core roster members. And I think everyone who really, is deep into Limitless Wrestling knows, the guys who are here all the time busting their ass for this. We've built something really special, and we've built an amazing fan base who, I don't even know if fan base is a correct word. I like to say family of just people who support and love this company and, just always support what we do no matter what happens. So, this is the time that we need it more than ever. And this is really just, I don't know. It's the belief that, we do have enough people to not make this something that we fall on our face and that fucks us. You know what I mean? Because this is a big risk. This is a big, this is more, it's the biggest venue we've ever ran, obviously.
Randy,
we're putting the most into this.
This is your WrestleMania.
Yeah. And it's just, it's so huge. It's just beyond belief right now because it's not something that I thought would ever come to fruition this quickly. But here we are. So I hope that, the support is there. And I think it will be because we've had fans for a long time say, I'd have, friends who'd come with me if it was in a bigger venue or just more spacious place. And now we're doing that. So, we're listening and I hope the support is there.
Air conditioned. That's a
positive.
Oh, hell yeah. Look, WrestleMania, people travel from all around the country, all around the globe to go attend it. This is your WrestleMania. If you're up there in the counties, in the boondocks, if you're out there in Framingham, Massachusetts, or New Hampshire, or Vermont, this is your show to plan a little vacation around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be there.
And this is the one. And that's what I've been saying to everyone who's been, messaging about it. Like if you've ever been on the fence about attending a Limitless show, this is the one because we haven't released many details about the card yet, but it's absolutely exceptional. And I think it's the best one that we've ever put out there. So people are going to be very, very excited for it.
Well, here's what we know about it. Teddy Hart, he's going to be there. Harlow O'Hara, one of my favorites that I've ever seen at Limitless, she's going to be there. A.R. Fox is back. How's he feel about coming back?
He's stoked, man. It's been a while because, Fox is a guy who we typically hit up for every single show. However,
it's been a while.
He's one of the busiest guys going right now between the school and wrestling every weekend. He's super busy. So it just super happy, especially on the 4-year anniversary that we're able to get him back.
We've got an interesting stipulation match. Jeremy Leary's hair versus Chris Statlander's Limitless Wrestling career. It's Skylar and Leary versus, of all things, Ashley Vox and Chris Statlander. How the hell did this come about?
The team you never thought you'd get. Well, Jeremy Leary and Skylar have been quite annoying. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Quite annoying since returning to Limitless Wrestling. And, we saw Ashley Vox pick up a big win in the 6-way scramble last week. Jeremy Leary did not take too kind to that. Didn't take too kind to Ashley Vox also messing up his hair during the intros. I can't wait to see the video of that. But he took it into his own hands to get his revenge, and he bolted out of the ring, stole Bradford the Barber's scissors, and came back and cut off a piece of Ashley Vox's hair. And Chris Statlander, who was set for competition with Skylar later in the night, came out and cleared the ring and, coincidentally made up with Ashley Vox. And I think the shared hatred of Jeremy Leary and Skylar brought, two of the worst enemies that collided in one of the, most vicious matches in Limitless history in January. That common hatred brought them right together. And we saw later on in the night, Chris Statlander and Jeremy Leary get into it once more. And then following that, we saw a huge stipulation set in place where Jeremy Leary was very much adamant that he didn't want to put his hair on the line. Obviously, he's self-proclaimed best hair in wrestling. So
debatable.
Yes, true. But his original proposition to Chris Statlander and Ashley Vox was the tag match with Chris Statlander's career on the line versus Skylar's Limitless career. However, Chris Statlander said she didn't want anything from Skylar at all. She wanted something from Jeremy Leary, but not even his career, something more valuable than that, and that was his hair. And Skylar quickly accepted without really consulting with Jeremy Leary, which I'm not sure if he's stoked about.
Well, I don't think she probably felt all that great about him putting her career on the line at first.
No, that was out of left field, especially because he was the one making the challenge. So
Right.
I think she was a bit taken aback by that and not too happy. So I think she was pretty pleased when the stipulation no longer involved her. So it is set. It is official. Chris Statlander and Ashley Vox will team for the first time ever, and they will collide with Jeremy Leary and Skylar. Stipulation being, if Jeremy Leary and Skylar win, Chris Statlander is gone from Limitless Wrestling. However, if Chris Statlander and Ashley Vox win, Jeremy Leary will have his head shaved.
This has got to be the first Lucha Stay Apuestas match in Limitless history, I'm pretty sure. I don't think
somebody screamed when this was made official. Someone screamed from the crowd, "I love Lucha shit."
I mean, I guess the tattoo match would have been of sorts, but it's not.
I was really excited for that tattoo. Somebody the other day I was talking to.
Well, you could still make it happen.
I know. I mean, if the situation ever calls for another tattoo match, we'll do it. But someone the other day was telling me how stoked they were for that, and I just realized, like, I kind of took a step back. I'm like, man, that was kind of a neat, like, stipulation that we weren't able to do. But
yeah, we could still make it happen one day.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the headliner for that show, MJF versus Anthony Greene for the Limitless Wrestling Championship. Couple things surrounding this. One, this is public. It has been announced. MJF is officially under AEW contract come October.
Yes.
So what the hell does that mean for the state of the Limitless Wrestling Championship?
It doesn't mean anything right now, as I have MJF locked down for 3 dates. So,
Okay.
3 dates for the rest of the year. And I've talked to MJF, and he's talked to AEW officials, and as long as he's the Limitless Wrestling champion, he's available to be in Limitless Wrestling, as that is an obligation with us.
There you go.
So to clear the air on that, there are set dates for MJF for the rest of the year. And regardless of that, as long as he is Limitless Wrestling champion, he does have an obligation with us. So obviously, like, here's the thing, and this is what I do want to clear up, is that if he is, like, Limitless Wrestling champion and there is an AEW show on the same date, which we pretty much know the schedule by now, and I don't think that's going to happen. But that would be really one of the only obligations that we'd have to fight at this point. We've cleared that up to make sure that that's the case.
Okay, that's good news. AG, who we will talk about in a couple minutes about just his insane weekend from that week. I feel like he's probably got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder here.
He's been on the run of a lifetime, truly, in the past couple weeks. And now he's got the opportunity at the Limitless Wrestling Championship, which he has had an opportunity before and was pinned in the championship match, which is very interesting. But I think AG he's really got momentum on his side right now. In the place, I wish you were there for it, honestly, Vacationland Cup, because when he won that main event.
Oh, did he give me a shout out?
No, he didn't give you a shout out, but it was one of the most surreal moments. I think it was just literal goosebumps, and I had it a few times. I'm excited to talk about the Cup because I think, honestly, 2019 Vacationland Cup is one of my favorite Limitless shows of all time, and especially the close to that show literally had some fans in tears because it was a very just surreal and emotional moment, especially when he got on the mic. And I don't know, man. I'm really looking forward to this match more than most matches that we've ever had, because I just think it's going to be very emotional for not only the competitors involved in the match, but for the fans who have been following Limitless Wrestling for a long time, or fans who have just been following AG and MJF for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that all in a second. Real quick, did you come up with a solution for the My VLC?
Yes. So there are 3 winners. I fucking wish I put it in the notes. I didn't even. I don't know them off the top of my head, but
okay. But we have winners.
The winners have been contacted. There were 3. There was one that was absolutely 100% correct.
Wow. Give him a little golf clap, because that's impressive.
Yes. It was Lisa Whitney, 100% correct, and it was the only one. So there, as of I went back on Sunday, the Sunday after the Vacationland Cup. We had 121 entries. Unfortunately, obviously, some of the brackets still included Brad Hollister because obviously that news did not come out until late. But a lot of people did resubmit updated ones with DL Hurst in there. Lisa Whitney's was the one that was 100% correct, I believe. Corey Bedoin, and there was one other one. So there's 3 people receiving the sticker packages, but there were 2 other ones that had they were one like adjustment away from being a perfect bracket as well.
Well, congrats to all the winners on that. Glad we got to do that. I'm sure that'll become a yearly tradition.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, honestly. I had a lot of fun looking through everything with that and just seeing there were so many different brackets, which is super cool to see.
So that's pretty cool. Some unfortunate news, and I want to just get this out there right now. I was really bummed to see this. Some of you in Portland may not necessarily be aware of him, or if you're only familiar with the Portland shows, but longtime Limitless and Let's Wrestle fan, Gordon Stewart, was killed in a car accident this past week. And Gordon was an usher at the Cross Insurance Center and the Bangor Auditorium for years. And I got to know him from covering games there in my 3 years up in Maine. And obviously, he was at every pro wrestling show I ever worked, literally every single one. IWE, Let's Wrestle, and I think he was at the Limitless shows that I worked too.
Yeah, he would go to a lot of the Limitless shows.
And he was tragically killed in a car accident this past week in a head-on collision on the day of the Let's Wrestle show.
On the way to Let's Wrestle.
It was on the way to Let's Wrestle?
Yes.
I thought it was in the morning. Either way, jeez. Well, just horrible circumstances. Absolutely horrible circumstances. And you got to know Gordon a little bit from him attending your shows. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I knew Gordon quite well, and this one hit me hard because it was just very unexpected. Obviously, I guess it's always going to be unexpected, but yeah, Gordon was a guy from day one of Limitless Wrestling, was at the very first show, and a very big supporter of just what we were trying to do in Maine wrestling. Because Gordon, I've literally known him probably since I was like 13 or 14 years old, because he's just been attending shows for so long. The Maine wrestling community is pretty tight, and it especially was in this central Maine area when I was attending like IWE and Brewers. So,
and he's an older he was an older guy too.
Yeah. Gordon was probably in his mid 60s, I would say. And I just got to know him really well because, wrestling is this cool world where it doesn't really, if you know some things about wrestling, you can make some friends pretty quick. It doesn't really matter what age group you're in or, what even you like outside of wrestling. It's just, it's pretty cool. And Gordon was someone who I became friends with, and he was just always supporting, anything that I would do in this area wrestling wise, and was at every single show, and not just Limitless and Let's Wrestle, like anything that would be in the central Maine, Penobscot County area of wrestling, and he'd travel too. But anything in this central northern Maine area, he was at all the time. Loved it. Funny guy, just always. I don't know.
Oh, I heard plenty of crap from him over the years.
Oh, of course you did. Of course you did. He was the number one proponent of giving Eric Greenleaf shit, which I
can embrace.
Yes, and now someone else is going to have to pick up that slack, because it's going to be just a bummer, man, because he's always someone who you really enjoy to see at shows, and he always has a great time, and it. So I much love to his family. I know they're struggling right now and just trying to cope with it, and it's a bummer, but I'm pleased that professional wrestling lets me know people like Gordon.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that, but obviously it's not a great situation.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful that I got to get to know him as well. Like I said, outside of just wrestling, I'd see him at the Cross Center all the time covering games, and just a good guy, and real shame. But everyone showed up and showed out for that Let's Wrestle show. I want to talk about that first, so we can kind of just glaze by it before we delve into the Vacationland Cup. What'd you make of Let's Wrestle this past show, and tell everyone some of the big things that happened that they need to know going forward?
Let's Wrestle, per usual, was a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing these shows, and they're a hell of a good time. We didn't do the best numbers as we usually do. Not a ton of tickets sold.
Well, I wasn't there.
Yeah, that's the true fucking kicker. I think we had about 120 there, which is a little low for what we've usually done for Let's Wrestle. But we a couple concerts in town. It was the hottest day of the summer, literally. I was sweating literally just by bringing in like extra fans that we were bringing in to turn on because it was so hot in that building. But by showtime, it cooled off a little bit. Some really fun matches on this show. The 6-way scramble for the number one contendership for the Let's Wrestle Championship. Aiden Agro, Nico Silva, just some fantastic performances in that match in general, and that's a must see. The Let's Wrestle Championship match, really good as well. Calvin Strange retaining against Danger Kid and Owen Brody. Just a really fun show all around, and most Let's Wrestles are. There were a couple things that I would have loved to tweak, afterwards. It wasn't my favorite Let's Wrestle show by any means, but I think with any show, there's a lot of growth that can come out of them. So I'm looking forward now, August 17th, Saturday night. That is the return of Let's Wrestle in Orono. We've got a couple big matches set. It's going to be Let's Wrestle Championship on the line. Aiden Agro goes one-on-one with Calvin Strange. Aiden Agro, an interesting note here that I literally realized driving on the way to the school today. Aiden Agro is the only member of the Main State Posse that Calvin has yet to beat. So very interesting to see how this one pans out. And also we had a big announcement at the Let's Wrestle show. Let's Wrestle Tag Team Championships are coming in August. And that was per our new general manager, Johnny Torres. So there's going to be a 4-way tag team elimination match in August. The teams are to be announced, and then the winners will be the Let's Wrestle Tag Team Champions. So very fun stuff.
Maybe I need to hit up Mac Daniels.
You and Mac Daniels want to team up?
It'd be a hell of a team. It'd be a hell of a team.
I'll do it just to see you in a ring. I want to see that.
You do?
I do, yeah.
You do know that, like, I've eliminated one of your talent from a battle royal and, like, hit them with a fireman's carry slam, right? Like that happened.
That did not happen in a Let's Wrestle or Limitless ring, because if my memory serves correct, pretty much every time you're in a Let's Wrestle or Limitless ring, you get just creamed or kicked or thrown across the ring or put in a body bag. It's pretty good shit, if I have to say so myself.
Well, what did you think of Mac Daniels?
Mac had another good showing. He went one-on-one with Brett Ryan Gosling.
And take a wild guess how that one ended. Eric Greenleaf screwing up. Classic.
Eric Greenleaf didn't screw up anything.
Are you kidding me? He put his hands on one of the talent and caused him to lose. Are you kidding me?
No. We'll put the video up. Mac Daniels actually shoved him into the ropes, and I don't know if you've hit ring ropes before.
Yeah, I have.
But
I have.
They give you a little momentum coming off them, and there came Eric Greenleaf, bump it into Mac Daniels because Mac Daniels shoved him, and Brett Ryan Gosling, good place to get that roll up in 1, 2, 3. So.
Eric Greenleaf weighs 17 pounds. How could he possibly have that much momentum coming off the ropes?
I don't know, man. I guess Mac's really, really strong, like you said, and he shoved him so hard.
He is strong.
There you go.
I also saw that someone played the wrong entrance theme for Mac Daniels.
Okay, that's where
that sounds like an Eric Greenleaf decision.
There was some shit that went wrong on this show. We had some audio issues for some fucking reason. Yeah, he came out to Blink 182 because we didn't have anything else real quick. So I don't know. I truly, like, it pisses me off so much in the moment, but like it was funny as hell.
I don't see anything funny about it.
No, I know you don't.
In fact, I think I need to put together a theme for Mac Daniels. Let me get on
Do
that.
it. I don't know. Blink 182 could fit. He could be punk rock.
No, punk rock is not Mac Daniels. Not at all.
Okay.
I will say this: I liked Brett's Hartford Whalers tights. Those were cool.
Yes, I like those a lot.
That was cool.
Very cool stuff.
So that's Let's Wrestle. Remind everyone when the show is again.
It is Saturday, August 17th. If you haven't yet, definitely like the Let's Wrestle page on Facebook. Follow us, Let's Wrestle 207 on Twitter. We're going to have ticket information dropping this week.
To the Vacationland Cup. You said it was your favorite show in Limitless Wrestling history.
It's one of them. I don't know if I can truly pick a definitive show, but this would be top 3 for absolute showing.
Okay. Christian Casanova, who just worked for Ring of Honor, which is pretty awesome, knowing how far he's gone. And actually, did you see the picture Flip Gordon posted?
Yes, that was really cool.
Really
and
cool.
Something cool about Christian as well is like within the past 2 weeks, he's worked for both Evolve, Ring of Honor, Beyond, Limitless, and Chaotic, which are, I would say you got three of the top local companies in this region, plus two of the higher tier independent, if you want to call them that, promotions going today. So just as we talked about Anthony Greene being on the run of a lifetime, I think Christian Casanova's had a hell of a couple weeks.
Well, he lost to Kevin Blackwood.
That he did, yes.
So Kevin Blackwood exacts his revenge. It took a long time, but he got it back.
It was wild in there, man. It was it really set the tone for the show, and I went back and forth on what I wanted to open this show, and just I couldn't get off Kevin Blackwood and Christian opening this show because it was just another emotional moment like we talked about a couple earlier. Really cool to see Kevin back in a ring. A lot of people came from the Buffalo area for this event. His parents were there. His girlfriend came in from California to see him wrestle his first match back. So really cool stuff. And Kevin just, it truly looked like he had not been out of a ring, which he had some time. We talked about it on the Vacationland Cup preview. He'd had some time to get back in the ring beforehand, but the rust that you'd seemingly expect for someone who hadn't been in a ring or hadn't wrestled in front of a crowd for 6 months just was not there. And Kevin had an outstanding performance and moved on to the finals.
So what's next for him?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. He, not only beat Christian Casanova on this night, but later in the night eliminates JT Dunn first in the finals, who is, last year's winner. And JT Dunn has been a pivotal part of Limitless Wrestling. So it was an amazing showing and really solidified Kevin Blackwood as a major player in Limitless Wrestling. So I don't know what's next, but I'm very excited.
Ace defeated DL Hurst, and things got a little weird in this one, didn't they?
Yeah, DL Hurst was extremely, extremely intense from the very beginning, and Ace Romero, I just don't think Ace Romero was hearing it. I think Ace Romero, and I know that he came in with, a little chip on his shoulder because he was. We saw the Vacationland Cup, the My VLC brackets. A lot of people did predict that Brad Hollister was going to, defeat Ace Romero in what most Limitless Wrestling fans would consider an upset, just being that Ace Romero has been one of the most dominant guys in Limitless Wrestling for a while. But I think Ace was a little pissed off at that, and I think he was especially more pissed when Hollister gets taken out, Hurst gets put in, and still the theory of people is the same. Ace Romero is going to lose in the first round, and I think he was angry about that, and he took that out on DL Hurst and beat the fucking shit out of DL Hurst. But DL Hurst just kept coming back for more, and I was very impressed, as I said, off the start with DL Hurst.
Are you disappointed with Ace's attitude in that sense?
I don't know. No, because it was solely based on competition, and I think that he was just feeling a little angry about not being considered. I don't know if not being considered, just I think a lot of people, I think he felt overlooked. That's the word I've been looking for 2 fucking minutes. I think he felt overlooked because Ace Romero, I'm sitting in the dojo right now looking at all these posters, and he's such a pivotal part of Limitless Wrestling's history. And it has, had, I think, more main events, more big time matches than anyone in the Limitless Wrestling locker room. And for him to, a lot of people predicting that he was going to be gone in the first round, I think he was pissed off about that. So I think he came into this tournament with a lot to prove, this match especially, and he was going against someone with a lot to prove in DL Hurst, but Ace Romero just overwhelmed him and got his hand raised twice because DL Hurst was looking for that handshake, and Ace Romero just got his hand raised again right in his face. So I think that was a big statement of DL Hurst saying, I don't know if it was about DL Hurst personally. I don't think it was. It was just about proving a point that Ace Romero is still the guy here.
So he moves on to the finals. Then we had MSP defeat the Work Horseman. Before we talk about the big thing that happened here, I want to talk about JD Drake for a second, because I don't think I'm the only guy talking about JD Drake. Did you see what he did on the Evolve show?
I actually have not caught his match yet. I think I've caught literally everything but the last 2 matches of that
He
show.
and Austin Theory tore the freaking house down.
I mean, that's no surprise.
No surprise, obviously, considering how talented both of them are. But, like, so I'll admit, I've seen far more JD Drake tag stuff than I have single stuff.
Okay.
I see him work this match with Theory, and I'm like, this guy, his body tells you there's no way this guy should work like this. And yet he goes out there and just, he blew me away. He blew me away
every time he's out there, and it's just. And Anthony Henry's the same way. I was very impressed by Anthony Henry's match actually on that Evolve show. But both of them, JD Drake too, but both of them like just bust their ass, and they are truly Work Horsemen. The name says it all, and they're really special as a unit, singles, whatever they're doing. They're very special, and this match is potentially my favorite Main State Posse match of all time.
Why is that?
It was so incredible. And anyone who was in the building for this match, I think a lot of people I got a lot of tweets that it was match of the night, potentially match of the year. Anyone who was in that building just felt the raw emotion and I was into that match. I had so much shit to do. Like there was just a lot of moving parts on this show. So I was going door to door a lot during this show, and I couldn't move for this match. I had to watch it in full. I had to watch every second because it was just incredible. They were beating the shit out of each other, but it was so fun to watch. And I was talking to Danger Kid, a couple days ago, and he was still saying the same thing, that he thinks, that's definitely top 3 matches for him in his career. So we're gonna once I get this one, we're gonna drop it in full immediately, so everybody can see it on YouTube.com/Limitless Wrestling.
But there was some tomfoolery afterwards.
Yeah, tomfoolery. I don't know if that's the word. It was atrocious. We go from this high of highs with a huge tag team victory for the Main State Posse, and just an amazing showing as a tag team unit. And they've been saying for a while now that they do want to prove that they're not only one of the best tag teams in New England or the Northeast, but they can wrestle the best teams in the world and have success. And they proved it. And then Brandon Kirk hits the ring. Alexander Lee hits the ring. We've seen the altercations between the two of them for the past couple months on social media. And then all of a sudden, the air gets taken right out of the room as Alexander Lee turns around and wallops Danger Kid with the buoy, and then wallops Aiden Agger with the buoy. And we see Joey Eastman emerge from the crowd, and it's absolute chaos. And if you haven't seen this, the video is everywhere.
It's insanity to me. It's insanity because, look, I'm going to take you back to May of last year. I'm in the ring with the Main State Posse and Joey Eastman conducting that public mediation, if you will, that we attempted in Portland between these sides. And who was the one who started the Weasel chant? Alexander Lee. Thankfully, real quick, why haven't you branded that as a T-shirt?
I mean, Joey Eastman was gone from Limitless Wrestling.
Yeah, but that's still, there's money to be made there.
Oh, for sure, but
you're leaving some money on the table there, Andy.
I know, yeah.
But so what the hell, man? You're tight with Alexander Lee. What the hell happened here?
I think it's the frustration of seeing something that you created turn out to not be what you expected, and we're still awaiting a comment from Alexander Lee, Brandon Kirk, and Joey Eastman, even though I do want to clarify that Joey Eastman is not a member of the Limitless Wrestling roster at the moment. He presented a reinstatement, a policy, I suppose, contract to the Main State Posse that was, it was not delivered like normal, postage would be delivered. Brandon Kirk stapled it to Danger Kid's fucking face, but there was a reinstatement contract delivered that was already signed by Joey and already signed by Alexander Lee, because if anyone does remember, at Pretenders Beware last September, the Main State Posse defeated Free to Think, which was Joey Eastman's team, which caused him to be fired, and he would have to depart Limitless Wrestling, and the only people who can bring him back per stipulation are the Main State Posse. So if Joey does return, He said that Alexander Lee and Brandon Kirk are ready to fight the main state posse, but they will not return without Joey Eastman. So the power is in Aggro and Danger Kid's hands, but we are awaiting a comment from that camp at the moment. I think it's Alexander Lee just giving up on the main state posse and giving up of what that brand is, what it represents now. And I don't know. It's not what anyone expected.
So look, Alexander Lee, I like him. I do. I really like him. But he is a strange cat. He's a strange cat. We've seen what he's willing to do in the ring. He's very much like Brandon Kirk in that sense. Willing to do whatever, no matter how brutal or violent it is. And I've had my quarrels with Danger Kid and Aiden Aggro, but I worry about those guys if they have to square off with Brandon Kirk and Alexander Lee. I worry that their health is in jeopardy. Now, I know MSP's crazy too. Right, MSP's crazy too, but both of those guys are smart enough not to use their head as battering rams.
That's true. And I don't think anybody knows Danger Kid and Aiden Aggro like Alexander Lee does.
Right, and that's terrifying too when it comes to competition.
Terrifying.
Because how do you beat that? How do you beat that? How do you beat your brother? It's hard. It's hard. Plus, there's all the emotions. What does that entail? So, yeah, it sucks. It definitely sucks. No doubt about it. And I feel for MSP. But, that's what everyone gets for thinking that Joey Eastman would just go away. Because we know that's not something he's going to do.
I mean, it's obvious now.
We want answers. Back to the VLC. JT Dunn defeated Eli Everfly. There were a lot of people who thought Eli Everfly could pull this one off. What did you think of his return here?
I think this is my favorite Eli Everfly Limitless match, to be honest. And I did not catch it all. I caught pieces in person and then pieces in clips. But I was very impressed by Eli Everfly. I think he needs more singles competition in Limitless Wrestling, and I think he'll get it soon because I agree with you. A lot of people were thinking that Eli Everfly could be, could knock off the previous year's winner in JT Dunn, who I think JT Dunn, not only on this podcast, but in a lot of people's brackets, was the odds-on favorite.
Yeah, and I think Eli Everfly is tremendously talented. He's got a lot going for him, and it's good to see that he had a good showing here. The biggest weekend in Anthony Greene's history as a pro wrestler started with this match. He defeated Shawn Spears and Tommy Dreamer to advance to the finals. This was the most complicated match to put together for this card. Changed several times, 3 times to be exact. But I would imagine it delivered something that members of the Limitless Wrestling fan base are going to remember for a long time to come.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I actually watched this one from outside. I was looking through the window and just kind of scanning the crowd and just kind of taking a moment to take it in from a different angle, which I love to do at venues where it's, where I'm able to do it. And this was a lot of fun. They did a lot of different things in this matchup. I think the addition of Tommy Dreamer into this match was very interesting, and I think that also changed a lot of people's brackets because a lot of people thought Tommy Dreamer was going to come in and knock off, move on to the finals, knock off Anthony Greene and Shawn Spears. And this was just fun, man. That's the real way to describe this match. It was a lot of fun. Fans were very involved in this match, so involved that a younger gentleman in the front row got up and laid a good chop right across the chest of Shawn Spears, who was not too pleased about that. And then Shawn Spears, speaking of not pleased, was really cutting an emotional promo to Anthony Greene post-match after Anthony Greene picks up the win, and then he fucking drills Anthony Greene, which par for the course with what we've seen from Shawn Spears lately. So yeah, can't say I'm too surprised, but Anthony Greene pulling off a big win here in a match that, as you said, did change numerous times, and this was probably the most stressful match to put together in Limitless history because of how many times it did change. But I think the outcome was really cool, and it was really cool for fans too to not only have Shawn Spears in the building, but Tommy Dreamer, two huge names who, do not pass through Maine very often. So I think it was a very cool experience all around.
Did you see who's managing Shawn Spears now?
I did. It's so wild.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Tully Blanchard managing Shawn Spears against Dusty Rhodes' son. It's awesome. But it's that new attitude from Shawn Spears, man. So good to see we even got it here in Limitless.
Also, I want to give a shout out to my boy Isaac. He's a trainee here at the Limitless Dojo. I shot him over because Shawn Spears, like the day before the Vacationland Cup, posted a picture with his new T-shirt design.
The chairman.
I'm like, shit, yeah. And I'm like, shit, how cool would that look on a fucking chair? And I shot it over to Isaac, who within like 4 hours got it done, like on a chair. And if you were in attendance, you saw him come out with it. We'll post a video to it as well. But really, really cool stuff by Isaac, and he makes.
What did Shawn think of that?
He was blown away. He thought it was really cool because he knew that he posted it 1 day ago. So
yeah,
blown away that it got done.
Very nice.
And just came out really cool. So
very nice.
Shout out to him.
Well, Daniel Garcia got a win back in his return. What'd you make of his return, and how did people feel about him?
This was another emotional contest because it was, just very cool to see Daniel Garcia back, who honestly, like, when I found out the extent of his injuries, I did not know if he would wrestle again, regardless if it was in a limitless ring or not. You break both your legs. You're lucky to walk normally again.
Right.
And he came back out, 6 months later and tore the fucking house down with his trainer, Pepper Parks. And it was very fun to watch. So I did not get to see all of this one as well. This is another one that I kind of pieced together with what I saw in person and clips. But Daniel Garcia is back and better than ever. And this was a fun return.
Yeah. So Ashley Vox picks up the win in the scramble. And there was a little change here. Channing Thomas enters this match. Leon Ruff out. What happened there?
Yeah, so we didn't get really a chance to put this out there because this is something that we did not really realize until really late in the day. But Leon Ruff was supposed to fly in from Atlanta into Portland. We had his ride all set up and everything like that. And then unfortunately, we just kept getting hit with delays. So his flight went from arriving at noontime to a little after 3 p.m. to a little after 5. And then eventually it became, he wasn't flying into Portland today. So we had to make a late change. Channing Thomas, who arrived to help out and was just, there for anything that we needed him for. Let's Wrestle alumni who has, shown really good stuff in Let's Wrestle over the past few months. He got an opportunity and really made the best of it. And this match was pretty cool because we did have a couple key players in the early days of Let's Wrestle who really kind of made that next step up and were, getting a chance on these limitless events. And that was Channing Thomas, Lil Blay, and Kobe Christ. And all three of them, from everything that I saw and everything that I, the comments that I received from fans, all three were very well received and did a great job. So I was very happy to hear that.
Plus, Swoggle's the man. So,
dude, fucking Swoggle is the best. I wish he's from such an obscure area, so sometimes the flights
it's
are
hard to get him.
deadly expensive. But if I could, I would have Swoggle on every single show.
He's the man.
He's just a delight.
He's hilarious. He's hilarious. Not necessarily PC, but he is hilarious. Then we got Skylar and Chris Statlander. Skylar picks up the win here. We kind of talked about what happened, but this new attitude's working for Skylar.
I suppose it is. She's 2-0 since returning to Limitless Wrestling. Big win over Lisa Marie Varon in May, and now a win over Chris Statlander, who Chris Statlander's been quite successful in the Limitless Wrestling ring. So now we know what's on deck for Skylar in September, and we'll see if she can still keep getting it done.
Let's talk about this final match here. AG defeats Ace Romero, JT Dunn, and Kevin Blackwood to win the Vacationland Cup. Take me through the emotions of this match, how each guy fared in your opinion, and then we'll really delve into Anthony Greene.
I think each guy fared very well, especially after, I think fatigue always plays a factor in tournaments where, these guys have already wrestled once, one of which in a triple threat, and everybody had, very tough competition with Ace Romero wrestling DL Hurst. Casanova was on deck for Blackwood, and then we had Everfly for JT Dunn. These guys went through hellacious battles earlier in the night, and, very fun four-way elimination match here. We saw JT Dunn get, truly shocked by Kevin Blackwood when Kevin was able to really just, I think not even just shock JT Dunn, but I think everyone in attendance was shocked. Not only that JT Dunn was the first one out, but that Kevin Blackwood in his return after, 6 months out of a ring was really making a go at this thing. And he fucking defeated Christian Casanova, then rolls up JT Dunn, who, as we said earlier, was one of the odds-on favorites to win this whole tournament in general. So that was surreal. And I think people were out of their seats when that happened. And then, unfortunately, Kevin Blackwood did not fare very well against Ace Romero and Anthony Greene after that. And then it was just, it felt like, for those who have been coming a long time, it felt like Question the Answers all over again with Anthony Greene and Ace Romero, because that was the first time they faced off in singles competition in Limitless Wrestling. The crowd was going nuts. And I think I definitely need to post like the closing sequence to this match at some point, because it's incredible to watch on film. Just people were going nuts at everything going on. Nobody knew who was really going to win. And then the place just absolutely comes unglued when Anthony Greene gets that 3 count and becomes the Vacationland Cup champion.
You said people were crying. Why do you think people cared so much about this particular finish?
I think Anthony Greene is a guy for Limitless Wrestling fans who they've truly watched develop, because Anthony Greene is, one of those Limitless Wrestling core roster members who you do see on pretty much every single show that we have. For those who have been coming a long time, you've just seen the metamorphosis of all good Anthony Greene, into an era where he was teaming with Ace Romero and Take Me Home Tonight, into the, I call it the golden boy era of Anthony Greene, where he had his, his running buddies of DL Hurst and Brett Domino, and then we see retrosexual Anthony Greene. And now he's the number one contender for the Limitless Wrestling Championship. And I think people really, Anthony Greene is the guy who's grown on people, and he's become one of the fan favorites in Limitless Wrestling. And I do think that independent wrestling presents this unique opportunity for anyone who watches and really gets emotionally attached to the product to just have these moments of bliss, I should say, where you see the culmination of something huge for someone who you've been following for so long, and it hits you. It hits you. It's an emotional thrill ride, and I think that's what the Vacationland Cup was, and that culmination of Anthony Greene, walking out victorious and now going to face MJF in September for the Limitless Wrestling Championship is just kind of unreal for a lot of people. And Anthony Greene was very emotional on the mic afterwards, saying how much that, he loves the fans here, and, was calling out people by name and just saying, I didn't win the Vacationland Cup. We won the Vacationland Cup, and now we're going to win the Limitless Wrestling Championship. Gives me goosebumps talking about it right now, honestly.
He could become the people's champion of Limitless Wrestling.
He could, but he's got the toughest competition in Limitless Wrestling on deck for him.
This weekend with him, he wins the Vacationland Cup after surviving Shawn Spears, Tommy Dreamer, Ace Romero, Kevin Blackwood, and JT Dunn. 24 hours later, he's in Philadelphia on the WWE Network, opening up a show against his best friend, Josh Briggs. The most surreal 24 hours of his life. What did you make of his match with Briggs?
I really enjoyed the match with Briggs.
It was nonstop. It was nonstop. It was crazy.
No, it was really cool because they had, just fucking Anthony Greene, and anyone who, I keep saying this, but anyone who's been watching Limitless for a while knows that, Anthony Greene has opened up a lot of Limitless Wrestling shows, and I think he's an amazing opening match guy because he's so encapsulating and just fucking, he's so good. He's so good, and he's someone who, as a booker, so to speak, he's someone who I trust to be out there as the first guy that a wrestling fan sees at an event. He's someone who, I trust that he's always going to have a good match, if not great, most of the time great. I trust that, he's going to make the best out of, any situation. And I think Josh is the perfect guy for him to tangle with because, as you said, they're best friends. They're guys who have come up, trained together at the same place. And, they know each other like the back of their hands. So this was just, what an amazing opportunity for both of these guys. And it was amazing to, be sitting watching the WWE Network, seeing two guys who, both of which have very important roles in the history of Limitless Wrestling. So very happy for both of them. It's a testament to the hard work that they put in as independent professional wrestlers, and they both deserve it. And I don't think it'll be long until you see them on the network every week.
I thought Josh Briggs came off as a huge star on that show, and I know I'm not alone in thinking that.
No, Josh looked really good in that match.
So not just that match, but then later on too.
Yeah, I saw the clip of that. I was pretty surprised.
He's going to be cool. He's going to be the guy. So that's saying something. Plus, that Austin Theory guy ain't bad either, huh?
No, Austin Theory is excellent.
So, hell of a weekend it was, and a hell of a week it was for Limitless and Let's Wrestle. Now it's all about looking forward as we approach the 4-year anniversary of Limitless Wrestling at the Portland Expo. More details to come over the course of the next few weeks, right here on the Limitless Wrestling Podcast.